Call the Tuesday, February 2nd, 2021, Williams County Board of County Commissioners meeting to order. Beth, please call roll, please.
Gary?
Here.
Corey?
Here.
Bo?
Here.
David?
Here.
All right, we have a quorum, so we will continue. We need a motion to hold an executive session at 8:45 a.m. for attorney consultation to discuss County Road number 9, Bull Moose Regional Water Service invoice. The legal authority for holding an executive session is North Dakota Century Code sections 44-04-19.1, 2, 5, and 9, and North Dakota Century Code 44-04-19.2, section 2.
I'd make that a motion.
Okay, a motion.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, Beth, roll call vote.
Gary?
Yes.
Corey?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Bo?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Let's start with the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next up is the consent agenda. What are the wishes of the board?
I just have one thing, under the 1% public safety grants, under the first one, there was one that was not approved. It is in here. So I just wanted to make sure we pointed out that it says, safety grant awards, but that first one for and fire was not approved. Everything else was approved.
And that's what I'll put in the minutes tonight.
Okay, thanks for pointing that out.
And I also think there's more than just those three.
They're attached behind the Trenton number 1. We keep scrolling down there. There are several more there that are attached that were approved.
Yeah.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, Beth, roll call vote.
Corey?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Bo?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. All right, next up is our public hearing, and this is a sales tax resolution amendment, behavioral health services first reading. And this is something that we've been talking about for some time, and is a welcome opportunity, in my opinion, to do some support for behavioral health, which is lagging in rural America and especially in our region. So with that, Karen, do we need a motion to do this reading, or how do we proceed with this?
No, just do the reading. Read the title of it,
Okay.
and then just open it up for public comment,
Okay.
and then close it.
Thank you for your guidance. All right, so with that pomp and circumstance, I'll just read the title. A resolution of the Williams County Board of County Commissioners, Williams County, North Dakota, amending resolution number 2014-1, including a sales use and gross receipts tax of 1% under the Home Rule Charter of Williams County for the purpose of providing supplemental funding to public safety departments and agencies within the county, and amending resolution number 2015-1, dedicating 50% of the net county sales tax proceeds of the Williams County sales and use tax to the city of Williston. So with that, we'll open the public hearing and allow for anybody to make a comment. Okay. Second, call for any public comment on on the Board of County Commissioners Resolution 2021-02-02. Okay, third and final opportunity for anybody to make public comments on our request to add behavioral health to the expenditures. Okay, we'll close the public comment opportunity. And then now we would need a motion to move past this, or we're just done? Okay. Is there any discussion from the board on this resolution? Okay.
And then I will get it published when it's posted and have it that probably March.
Good. All right, Lindsay's gonna enlighten us on the program as it's to be put forth.
So contingent upon the adoption of Resolution 2021-2-2, which is the one that was just read for the first reading, the second reading will occur. We have to now publish the resolution, and then the second reading will occur at your next commission meeting, and then that would be the time that you could formally adopt it.
No, not until March.
Oh,
Don't have enough time.
sorry. Start over. Today was the first reading of the resolution. We then have to publish the resolution. And then a second reading will be held on the March 2nd commission meeting. And at that time, you will be able to adopt the resolution based on public comment and your sentiment. I had it written down. So contingent upon the adoption of the resolution, you've been provided a plan to distribute $1 million from the 1% public safety sales tax as grants to behavioral health providers or organizations that conduct behavioral health services in Williams County. These grants aim to demonstrate a commitment from the Board of County Commissioners to being a part of the solution for bringing more community-based behavioral health services to Williams County. The program details provided in your packet outline the process, timeline, and uses of the grant funds. An application process would be required, and it would be reviewed by an application review committee that consists of a Williams County Commissioner, the Williams County Sheriff, the North Star Human Service Zone Director, 1% Public Safety Committee Chairman, a representative from the Williams County Communications Department, and a representative from a school district in Williams County. The intent of that review committee would be to provide recommendations to the Board of County Commissioners for the grant selection, but ultimately the Board of County Commissioners would have the full discretion and choice of the grant application. So really at this point, I will field any questions that you may have about the details. This would be an opportunity for us to be able to solidify the details of this program so that we can move forth with developing agreements and applications. In the event that the resolution is adopted, then we would be able to release that application in early March.
I just see in the review committee consists of county commissioner and so forth. Then it says a representative from a school district in Williams County. I'm assuming we'll be sending letters to, either all school districts or all school board members so they get a chance to apply, or how do they get into that?
The intent would be to utilize a school district maybe outside of the area of Williston within a rural area that also has some behavioral health ties. So there are a few school districts that have a social worker or some of them are called like program facilitators. The thought being that the intent of the review committee is to be able to provide some insight on behavioral health in choosing the grant. But we wouldn't want to disqualify a behavioral health provider that would want to apply for the grant. And since catering services to adolescents is important and the full spectrum of care and providing services to be utilized. Someone with a behavioral health background or experience or intent from a school district.
Okay, thank you.
I think it's important to point out that Lindsay spent, is it 2 years now, working on this?
Year and a half. Yeah.
Year and a half, okay, and basically bringing all the different entities in the county that provide these services and trying to get everybody to know what everybody else does, so that there's an awareness of service providers amongst themselves to begin with. But then also now, she's been working on how to get the word out to the public, so they know what services are really available. Because there's a lot of confusion and there's a lot of lack of information, I guess, out there on what's available. And so this is a great opportunity to kind of bring that forward, and Lindsay's really done a great job working on this, so I just want to commend you for that. Anything else for Lindsay? Okay, then one other question. Jumping topics. Do you want to discuss, or should we discuss the audio proposal at this point, or wait for the?
Oh, well, first I need a motion to approve the grant program. And, sorry, I appreciate your question. Yeah, so we would, if you are satisfied with these program details as they are outlined, you know, then with utilization of the committee for application review, then we can actually, they would meet during the week of March 17th to March 24th. I guess let's do it this way. First, we would need a motion to approve the grant program details unless there's anything that you want to change from what's been presented to you. So that's the key point being here, that $1 million is being utilized from the 1% public safety sales tax. No single grant application can be for more than $500,000. So that allows you to give, you could do 2 large grants, you could do 1 big grant and a whole bunch of little ones, or you could do a whole bunch of little ones, but it provides then the folks that are applying for the grant the flexibility too of what they're looking for. And then also in terms of acceptable uses and not acceptable uses, what's been provided to you is a basic, kind of just what I've gathered from talking with different entities and some of the feedback that you all have provided over the year and a half that I've been talking with these folks. So at the end of the day, though, the appropriate use and not authorized use of the grant funds, again, is your sole discretion in terms of selecting the grant. And so there's some flexibility built in here as well, because someone might have thought of something that we didn't. So.
Okay. So back to what we need to do then, we need a motion to agree to the terms set out and authorize the chairman to sign. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I do have one question. Under the people that are gonna do the review committee, do we want to mark a couple of those, and I'm thinking specifically the 1% public safety committee chairman or their representative? Because that might be tough to narrow it down, and that's, you know, they're not right here and close to us. Maybe it should be or their representative. With their appointee, I guess, would make more sense to me, unless somebody has a friend.
Okay.
And I don't know if the sheriff would want to do the same type of thing. You know.
1%
But not according to the.
Well, no, I agree with what you said.
Oh, you want, okay.
That way they can decide if there's somebody that is on that committee that really wants to, the chairman could just appoint them to be part of it.
Yeah, and I think because they would be able to do that at their next meeting.
But it doesn't say that in here, it says the committee.
Wait, so you would like to amend it to say the 1% Public Safety Committee Chairman or representative, right?
Correct.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
The same with the sheriff.
I was just asking, he was standing back there, so I thought, I didn't know if he wanted that option or not. He would also like that option too. At least I assume that's the thumbs up, right?
How about the commission?
I think, and
No.
actually with intent
I
of
think
this
the
committee, you can select, you can name your commissioner today if you wanted to.
All volunteer, nobody else wants to do it. Yeah.
Did you open it up real quick?
Yeah.
Is there any other of those that you guys think, I mean, Bo, you work with the zone, do you think they would want or their representative also added to that? I mean, I don't think it's a big thing to add.
So on that one, I have spoken with Holly about her participation, so.
Okay,
So how?
I was just gonna say maybe just apply that or their representative to the whole paragraph. That way, if everybody, all those groups just designate the appointee but that's up to.
That's a good idea. I like that. Then it's easy for their call.
Karen, if we leave it open like that, do we need to have them then reapprove the committee with specific names, since this is opening up the roles? No, okay.
We have no idea what you did after. You didn't use the mic.
I know I can't move it.
Which
We don't
would be
have
the-
wireless for you. I confirmed with Attorney Prout on whether or not we would need to then reapprove the review committee with specific names, since we're opening it up to a role plus a representative, and she said no.
So this will all be put in a new version.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The one that won't say draft in red letters.
Okay, I would make a motion to accept this grant program and its details put forward
As amended?
Doesn't it?
as amended.
Okay. We have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, Beth, roll call vote.
Uh-oh.
Sit down.
Do you also want to include in the motion for the authorization for the chairman to sign?
Yes, I would include that.
Yes.
Okay. As amended then. Beth, roll call vote.
Okay. Steve,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Cory.
Yes.
Motion passes. And then, was there any other business that with regards to this need to cover?
I don't believe so.
Okay, then I'm gonna leave the rest, there's gonna be audio discussion, but we'll wait till,
Okay.
now you come up and you can.
Do we want to appoint the commissioner? Do you want the commissioner on there, Donnie?
I think at this point, since the review committee has been approved as part of the grant program details, do we need to appoint the commissioner? No, just because we've already established the committee with saying that the commissioner is on it.
Well, we have,
Oh, okay.
Here,
But we're
got a
good.
motion?
Appoint away.
I would make a motion to appoint Chairman Kemp to the committee.
I will second.
Okay, any additional discussion? Hearing none, Beth, roll call vote.
Bo,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Cory,
Yes.
Steve.
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you. Okay. Let's jump in planning zone.
Good morning, Commissioner Sam Miller with County Planning.
Morning, Tom.
Okay, first on the agenda, we have LU-0241-20. This is a request coming from Mr. Rintamaki for a zone change to rural residential for a proposed 25-acre lot. The applicant is working through a 3-lot minor subdivision right now, and this zone change is associated with that. No comment was received from the township, but Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval contingent upon completion of the minor subdivision and adherence to the ordinance.
Okay, what are the wishes of the board?
Move to approve all on planning and zoning recommendations.
Is there a second?
We'll second.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, Beth, roll call vote.
Vote,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Barry, Corey,
Yes, maybe.
Steve.
Yes. All right, motion passes.
Next on the agenda, we have LU-0238-20. Mr. Avery is requesting a zone change to urban residential for 4 proposed lots. He is working through a 4-lot minor subdivision right now. No comment was received from the township. And the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of the project with the 5 listed conditions. I wanted to make mention of condition 4. So this condition was requested by the applicant to be removed, waived. He did send an official letter to staff asking that we mention this to the commission. Just a little background on this. This is kind of an unusual case. So staff met with county engineering and they made this request based on wording in our ordinance that supports this. So to record a road maintenance agreement for Martinez Loop. So if you notice up on the screen right now, you can see Martinez Loop falls within a parcel. So Raphael, if you wouldn't mind just highlighting that parcel. Yeah, so it's kind of hard to see. So basically with the platting of Martinez subdivision, which is the creation of all of those lots that border Martinez Loop, the creation of this subdivision occurred back in 2012 when we did not require maintenance and improvement agreements with the creation of infrastructure. So if this happens now, we would have required the developer to record maintenance and improvement of Martinez Loop with recordation of the subdivision. However, this wasn't done. So Mr. Avery now is requesting to plat 4 lots to the north on that parcel, or I guess 3 lots, and then there's an adjustment of his existing lot, correct? And so at this time, we're kind of retroactively, we can't ask all of the lot owners of Martinez subdivision to record this maintenance agreement. However, we did ask Mr. Avery if, because he's creating 3 new lots and those lot owners would be utilizing Martinez Loop, that he is now responsible for the maintenance agreement. And if the owners of the lots within Martinez subdivision wanted to join that maintenance agreement, since they're users of that road, that would be great. Basically, kind of why we're doing this is we have some language in our ordinance that specifically says that before any future subdivision is approved, the developer will be required by a development agreement, or in this case, a road agreement, to accept responsibility for the layout and construction of all private or public roads and be further responsible for maintenance thereof. And Mr. Avery is in the audience, and if you'd like to give him a chance to speak his piece.
Please.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
As Sam mentioned, I would like to request to waive that contingency based on the premise that, in our perspective, if we can't get all of the neighborhood to agree to some sort of road maintenance, then it's really no different than not having one at all. Because why should just a couple lots have to accept all responsibility to maintain the road for the whole neighborhood? So in our preference, we would waive that contingency and follow through with the neighborhood taking care of it on their own, as they have for years already. And they've already looked at the road. It's in great shape. Everybody does their part, the whole neighborhood. I mean, I don't even use the road, and I still help out taking care of it just because it's the neighborly thing to do. So it would be my request that we waive that contingency based on the fact that the neighborhood does get that taken care of it on their own. Kind of a grandfathered in type of thing.
Question, Mr. Chairman, if I may. Sam or Dennis, is this a township road?
No, sir.
So whose road is it?
It is a public access road for the purpose of these properties. So it was platted with Martinez subdivision.
So if we don't have this agreement in place, what are the scenarios in the future?
So I can let Wayne possibly talk about this, but really quick, we just kind of wanted to cement an agreement in place that I understand that it works really well currently. We are just concerned that in the future, if someone stops maintaining the road and improving it when it's required, the conditions of that road will become impassable. So this at least locks in the required maintenance and improvement for these lot owners. But Wayne can speak further to that as well.
And on that point,
if that happens, Sam, Wayne, if the road becomes impassable, we pretty much know where they're gonna come. Correct? They're not gonna come here. And they're gonna expect us to do something. So I guess we've had these situations in the past, and the concern I have with that, Mr. Avery, is the fact is that I don't believe it's fair that the other thousands of taxpayers of Williams County are responsible for that road. That's just my opinion. Go ahead.
Well, it's been discussed.
Yeah.
It's been discussed fairly fully here, but yes, David raises a good point that down the road, should there be a large, say, snow event, and snow is still to get removed, and then there's a call for emergency vehicles, then they could not be able to access those homes back there. The maintenance agreement just lays forth how this maintenance is going to occur and allows the county then to intervene if necessary at the expense of the people responsible for the maintenance of the roadway.
so is it just unfortunate that he wants to come and do some development on his property, so because he's the first one to do it, then he becomes responsible for that road?
Well, he's doing 4 additional lots. He's maintaining the roadway now. Isn't that correct?
The whole neighborhood maintains the road. So I've chipped in and helped here and there, but I don't use the road, so all the rest of the neighborhood takes care of
Can you
it.
bring up the subdivision plot and show what the nature of the subdivision looks like?
And I totally agree with David that it'd be unfair to the rest of the thousands of taxpayers, but I feel that it's unfair to say that I have to take care of the whole road for the whole neighborhood. Because I don't know for sure if I'll be able to get all of the other residents on Martinez Loop to be able to sign that document. And in my opinion, if you don't have 100% inclusion on that, then it's really no different than just having a good faith understanding with the neighborhood that we all chip in and take care of it. Some are going to take care of more of it than others. Some are going to use equipment that others don't have. I mean, like Sam said, it's a unique situation, but I would hope that you would see it from my perspective and allow us to waive that from one contingency.
It appears we don't have the configuration of the subdivision, but you have it in your packet.
I've got a copy of it too. I can send it for you guys.
And so as you can see there's 3 lots that directly face onto this roadway. And so it's a very reasonable request that this development go ahead and enter into a maintenance agreement because, as you can see, it's needed to support all 3 lots.
Is the property to the south of that, your proposed subdivision, I call it, Mr. Avery, developed other than the one off the highway bypass?
I'm sorry, can you ask that again? Where the
property to the south of that road?
Yep.
Across from you, of these 3 lots that you're proposing to develop, are those lots developed?
Yes, sir. The ones that are highlighted are where the cursor is currently at, right there, those 4. Yes, those are all homes and occupied residencies, and they all use that road. All of those lots around Martinez Loop use that road. And currently, they're the only ones that use that road. I don't use it.
Well, I certainly feel for you, I really do, because you're caught in the middle here.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, where do we start? Do we continue to just go with the flow and wait for something to happen down the road? Or do we address it now? Have you talked to the other owners at all as far as the maintenance agreement?
I haven't yet, because honestly, I was afraid of opening a can of worms, so I was hoping that we'd be able to move past that today.
Well, I hate to delay things, Mr. Chairman, but would it be worthwhile for them to come and visit here with us so that they can understand from us, not from you, Mr. Avery? I mean, I'm trying to be fair to you. Would it be better for them to come and visit with us about the possibilities of what could happen in the future if this agreement doesn't come into play? Not only for Mr. Avery, but for them also?
Yeah, does that create any
That creates some hardship on me, because I've got a lot of other stuff
pending?
pending on this, including my appraisal and refinance on my property, the one that's not highlighted in the center. That is all contingent on this, and if I don't make this deadline, then I have to start all over, and it's gonna cost me another $1,000 appraisal because it expires and whole 9 yards. So I'm really stuck in the tight spot right now.
Yeah.
I think we have a little bit more history, I guess, of the neighborhood. The guy that lives on the end of the road owns a trucking company, so if and whenever we do need a little bit of gravel, he just sprinkles some on the road. I've got a tractor and four-wheelers. A couple of the other neighbors have four-wheelers. We all drag stuff, keep the road up, and everybody does their part. I don't foresee, even in the foreseeable future, where we'd ever have an impassable situation. A couple of the neighbors have plows on their pickups. I also do. We help each other keep the road plowed open. I realize that you can't always foresee the future, but given the current circumstances, I can't see where we'd ever have an issue.
That's pretty tough to count on though, because if people move, leave, and then you're back. I mean, the trucking company, I've seen a lot of those leave in there. So I don't really feel good about it. I mean, as bad as it feels to do it, it's got to start somewhere. So I really almost think we've got to have that maintenance agreement.
You already have some, it sounds like everybody is pretty neighborly about it and understands it. And that to me is like an open door for a road maintenance agreement, just formalizes basically what you already are doing.
Sure.
So it does seem a little bit like it might not be that big a deal, but maybe there's some underlying.
No, I don't typically like that formal stuff, because I feel like as soon as you get something formal, it's something for somebody to stick it to somebody else. I prefer the old school way of a gentleman's agreement, and hey, we'll take care of each other.
And Karen loves those kind of agreements. She really thinks that we should do everything that way.
And I certainly agree with you, Mr. Avery. I firmly believe that North Dakota was built on those principles. We do business on a handshake. But after sitting in this chair for 16 years and seeing the people come to us, and nothing against you, but we had a lot of promises that weren't made, and the county gets stuck with it.
Sure.
And like I said, it's certainly nothing against you, and I agree with Mr. Hanson. You might be here today, or the others might be here today, but they could be gone tomorrow, and then all of a sudden. Wayne brought up a good point. If emergency services cannot get in there, we're in big trouble.
Sure.
And the county could possibly be liable for that, because we didn't approve of a road maintenance agreement.
This subdivision dates back to 2012. Okay, so just being devil's advocate, if Mr. Avery did not want to develop this property, we would have that situation, correct? Until somebody decides they want to do something.
That's correct, yes.
And that's where I really get something stuck in my craw, because, I understand that we're having to fix this, but we're saddling him with the issue of fixing something that was developed in 2012. So, what can the county offer him as far as to get signatures for a road maintenance agreement on all of these properties? Anything?
I kind of thought about this too. I think really all we can do is provide a meeting where we can help to educate why this is important and really kind of step outside of our office role and come out to meet them halfway and really explain the situation and the importance of it.
Do you need 100% property owner signature in order for this maintenance agreement?
So currently, I had a meeting with Karen yesterday to talk about this, but we can only saddle the new lots with this and then ask the Martinez subdivision lot owners to jump on board too, because it wasn't a requirement of the original subdivision. So we can't retroactively make them comply.
Last question, what legal documentation is there for this road? I assume the property owner way in the back, do they all have easements filed on this so that they can all have legal access?
Correct. There is an 80-foot access easement across the lot 3 that was platted with Martinez subdivision.
With lot 3?
Sorry, yes, Raphael, that one.
That L-shaped one.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's an 80-foot access easement right there.
Is there any legal means, Karen, for us to waive liability from the county if they accept the responsibility to take care of the road?
Mm-hmm. I don't think any of it there, but
Well, I know that, but I mean,
because it wasn't done right, we got to start it.
Yeah, on the old Martinez plat 2012, it already says the concept responsibility for the roads, and then we automatically include that in any plat, really, so, yeah.
Yeah, so from a liability perspective,
We don't want it.
we should be covered?
Yeah.
So it just explicitly states that Williams County is not responsible for construction, repair, maintenance of that road.
And as a legal term, maintenance, does that include snow removal?
Yes.
Yeah. So if the ambulance can't get down there, or they get stuck, or whatever, it's on you guys. The other residents of Williams County aren't gonna be responsible or held liable for your inaction if that were to happen. If I'm understanding that correctly.
If I understand it correctly, even if you did have a maintenance agreement, it would be those sole individuals' responsibility anyway, so it's really no different, right?
Yeah. All right. Now the water is sufficiently muddy.
Well, I think one of the things we gotta look at is, just because it wasn't done properly in 2012, at some point, we gotta try to get these things all back. And I know it's not fair, but I don't see any other way to do it than to have the road maintenance agreement, put in there and at least take a shot at getting the other people to sign it. From the sounds of it, you've got a great group out there, and now's the time to do it. You don't have the one guy that's saying, no, I'm not gonna help out, because that's my worry when it happens, and then pretty soon nobody does anything, because it's we all had the college roommate that didn't do the dishes, so then we all quit doing the dishes, right? So, I think it's the only way to do it and get it to happen.
So just out of curiosity, if the road maintenance agreement is gonna go with his new lots, and say the people in these 4 lots sign that road maintenance agreement, does any of that agreement attach to their property, so that if they sell their property, the new owner is part of that road maintenance agreement? Because then he could very well have the exact same situation if it doesn't attach to their property and they leave, then the new owner's like, not my problem.
Yeah, if we got other landowners to sign off on it, we would make that road maintenance agreement a covenant running with the land. So anybody that purchases the property after the once it gets recorded, anybody that purchases after would be bound by that agreement, so.
One more question, this doesn't encumber you at the moment, right? Like this doesn't, or does the road maintenance agreement have to be signed by 100%? Again, I don't know if we answer that.
It's not very old.
Is it 60%, 100%, 51%?
It only requires the new lots to be part of the maintenance agreement.
Oh, okay, and Mr. Avery can sign for those. And so you ultimately could, I mean, this thing could be done, and you signed off on it, and it doesn't encumber you.
Of accepting full responsibility of the road for roads that I don't use at all, because when this is all said and done, those 3 lots are being sold,
Right,
and I'm not gonna touch that road at all, so I certainly don't want my residency to be part of that agreement, the one that's in the center that's not highlighted.
right.
Yeah, he might not use that road, but as the developer of the subdivision, he's the one that's responsible for it, really. I mean,
But when he sells those 3 lots, the road maintenance of those 3 lots, or that road would stay with them, it would not stay with Mr. Avery, correct?
that would be correct.
So that responsibility passes with the ownership.
But now
Can we, at the very minimum, allow that my residency be excluded from that, since I do not access that road?
Yes, because you access out on the 85B, you would not need to be part of it.
Okay.
So we're not encumbering your existing properties, the 3 new lots, that's all we're.
Yeah. If I do go to the rest of Martinez subdivision and I get a handful of them to jump on board with this, what of the individuals that potentially don't jump on board with that? They just get to ride along for free? That's how that works.
So let me talk to you about putting in a water line. Because that's just the very thing that's happened to me, so.
Yeah,
Pretty deep.
one of our next headaches.
Yeah. So you're concerned that there's maybe 1 or 2 that are.
Yeah, I just don't know. I haven't gone and talked to them yet. Most of the neighborhood is great. I mean, we're all friendly and we help each other out. It's, you know how it is when somebody comes to present something legal to you, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
So,
Well, settled on that.
yeah.
Sorry. What are any other questions, comments?
Mr. Chairman, we were just discussing, so I believe, and Karen, please correct me if I'm wrong, so you can record the maintenance agreement, taking full responsibility, and as you speak to more of these lot owners, or say there's lot owners in Martinez that change hands, and so you approach them, you can amend that agreement to include them as they agree
Okay.
to that. Include more people as they agree to do the maintenance. So initially starting out with just these 3, and then let's say,
Well, I guess bottom line is you could always amend any agreement, really. I mean, as long as all the parties to the agreement agree to it, so.
Could the written agreement just include all of the property owners along that loop? And then he could, or we could schedule a meeting and have all those folks come, explain the situation, and they all of us either may sign that agreement or they don't, I guess. I mean,
that sounds good to me. I think if we can do that, that would be great. I'm just concerned with the timing of everything, because we need a road maintenance agreement before he can record the plat.
And I need that recorded this month.
It seems to me that you're saying that you don't want to do this, it boils down to money, cost.
Part of it, I mean,
Okay,
cost
so-
of recording the documents.
Well, I'm talking about the road maintenance agreement. Nobody knows what that cost could potentially be. And I'm sure the county or the township aren't gonna go out there and just spend $1,000 or $10,000 or whatever to put gravel on your road and blade your road unless you guys request it. And I would think to be the same thing with any other type of maintenance. I guess Wayne, Dennis, correct me if I'm wrong, if they're doing it themselves, I don't think that we're gonna go out there and overrule them. So I guess I'm trying to figure out what it would mean to the other property owners. I'm sure the first question they're gonna ask you is, one of the first questions they'll ask you is, how much is it gonna cost you? You don't know that. We don't know that. It's more or less for the protection of them in the future, so that if they do decide to come to us for some help, they know that they're gonna have to pay for that. Just my opinion. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody.
And the road maintenance agreement specifically states that they are maintaining their own road. It's not like everything has, there's no changes. Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna call for the question at this point. We have to either make a decision at this moment, or we have to recess and go into our executive session.
I know typically I would say we have to break for this, but I think here, I would rather you deal with, finish this off, and then, because there's two other things on the planning and zoning, and then go into executive session.
Thank you very much. Wow, flexibility from the attorney. Okay, so then we won't, let's continue the discussion.
I would make a motion that we follow planning and zoning with the exception of lot 4. Is that the right one? Is that the one your house is on?
I think it's one.
I don't remember which one. That's excluding lot 1 from the road maintenance agreement.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I will second.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, Beth, roll call vote.
David,
Sorry, one more quick question. Is there anywhere that I can find an example of what the road maintenance agreement might need to look like? Okay, I see Hanson-here, I guess, okay.
Just before we have a roll call vote discussion, Sam, if there's any support you can give them with regards to that, I would assume that's gonna happen, right? They're not here to create trouble, they're just trying to create consistency.
Yep, yeah.
And it obviously was lacking in the past, so. Okay. Any additional discussion? Beth, roll call vote.
David,
Yes.
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Cory,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes. Motion passed.
Thanks for your time, guys.
Thank you.
No kidding.
Here, Sam.
Okay, next on the agenda is LU-0216-20. Ms. Sundhagen is requesting a zone change to rural residential for a proposed 18-acre lot. The applicant is working through a 2-lot minor subdivision to separate the existing farmstead from remaining farmland. No comment was received from Township Planning and Zoning Commission. Recommended approval of this project, contingent upon successful completion of the minor subdivision and adherence to the ordinance.
Okay, what are the wishes of the board?
Move to approve following recommendations from planning and zoning.
Is there a second?
Second. Sorry.
Think you think? Okay. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, Beth, roll call vote.
Jerry,
Yes.
Cory,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Okay, motion passed.
Finally, we have item LU-0210-20. Mr. Brackey is requesting a zone change to public and a conditional use permit for an electrical switchyard on a proposed 5-acre lot. The applicant is working through a minor subdivision to separate that 5-acre lot for the proposed electrical switchyard. There are drawings within your packet of what that switchyard will look like. Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of this project with the 6 conditions listed in your packet. The majority of these are typical comments, and then the remaining are to install security fence around the perimeter, obtain building permits and inspections, and, obtain water board approval.
Okay, what are the wishes of the board?
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman,
Is there a second?
and follow the recommendations of planning and zoning.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, that's roll call vote.
Cory,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sam, and we will break for executive session. Yep. And, we'll move on into the agenda for, first,
That was pretty good. Yeah.
Good morning, Commissioners.
good morning.
If you don't mind, we will start with the abatements today. We have quite a few to get through. The first one is for the 2018 value for the Homestay Suites owned by Williston Homestay Suites LLC. They are requesting a reduction in value from $6,628,000 to $3,933,400. The property is a 79-unit long-stay hotel with an on-site restaurant built in 2010. An inspection was completed on January 6th. No changes were found to be needed to the property record. The applicant provided all their evidence last night at 6:30. Their evidence included much reliance on the income method for hotels, which we do not use. We have never been able to garner that information from our market, and so we have to use the cost method. We recommend denial for the 2018 abatement for Williston Homestay Suites LLC. Our next set of abatements is for UC Property Owner LLC on the 2018 value for the University Commons Apartments. The property is spread across 3 parcels. 2 parcels have apartment buildings on them. The third is a vacant lot. The request is for a change on the vacant lot, which is lot 1R, block 7, is from $760,800 to $460,000, and the apartments on lot 2, block 1, from $5,293,800 to $3,194,100. The apartments on lot 1R, block 1, would like a reduction from $10,148,900 to $6,122,500. The property is 218 units of studio, 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms spread across 4 buildings on 2 parcels, as well as 219 detached garage stalls. They were built in 2015. The vacant lot provides no income-producing amenities to the property, such as parking, green space, etc., and does not get included in the income method. We utilize the income method to value all apartments in the city based on the actual rents and expenses reported to us by the property owners or managers. University Commons, or UC Property Owner LLC did respond to our request for income information in 2018. We have not been allowed to inspect the property despite our request, and the applicant provided their information for all these properties last night. We recommend denial of the 3 2018 abatements for UC Property Owner LLC. Our next set of abatements is filed by the Bluffs of Williston on their 2018 values of the 2 parcels that make up the Bluffs apartment complex. They are requesting a reduction in value from $5,381,000 to $3,969,500 on the south parcel, and a reduction from $5,465,000 to $4,031,400 on the north parcel. The property is made up of 2 apartment buildings of 74 units each, built in 2015. We applied the income method to place our values by determining the market rates for income and expenses based off of surveys of our local apartments. We did not receive any income or expense information from the Bluffs for the 2018 valuation. An inspection was completed on January 7th. No changes to the property record were found to be needed. We recommend denial of the 2018 abatements for the Bluffs of Williston. Our next abatements are for the 2 parcels that make up Regency Apartments for the 2018 tax year owned by RAH Property Owner, LLC. They are requesting a reduction in value on the larger parcel from $6,095,200
to $4,270,200, and a reduction from $4,096,900 to $2,870,000 on the smaller parcel. Regency Apartments is a complex of 5 apartment buildings and 6 garages and an office clubhouse spread across 2 parcels. There are 144 units consisting of studio 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom unit types built in 2014. Regency Apartments did submit information for our request of income and expenses, but we were unable to obtain an inspection despite our request. I recommend denial of the 2 2018 abatements for RAH Property Owner LLC. The next abatement is for the 2018 value of the Williston Garden Apartments owned by ND Williston Garden LLC. They are requesting a reduction in valuation from $9,967,700 to $5,520,400. The property consists of 4 apartment buildings, a clubhouse, 9 garages built in 2012. There are 137 units made up of 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. Like all other apartment complexes, we valued them using the income approach derived from a survey of apartments in the city. Williston Garden's prior owners did return our income and expenses for our analysis. Williston Gardens purchased the property in July of 18 for $12.3 million. We were not able to inspect the property despite our request. We also have not received a letter of authorization from the owners for Frederickson and Byron, PA, to represent them, who has filed on behalf of all of these owners, which is why we're reading them all. We recommend denial of the 2018 abatement for ND Williston Garden LLC. Next, we have an abatement for the 2018 valuation of the Dakota Commons Apartments owned by ND Dakota Commons Apartments LLC. They are requesting a reduction in value from $3,073,700 to $2,110,900. Dakota Commons is a 2-apartment building with 44 units made up of 1, 2, and 3-bedroom units built in 2013. The prior owners did contribute to our income method market study. ND Dakota Commons purchased the property in July of 18 for $4,420,000. We were unable to inspect the property despite our request and do not have a letter of authorization from the owners for Frederickson and Byron. I recommend denial of the 2018 abatement for ND Dakota Commons Apartments LLC. The next abatement I have for your review is Renaissance Apartments LLC for the 2018 tax year. They are requesting a reduction in value from $21,312,600 to $15,849,100. Renaissance Heights is comprised of 5 apartment buildings, detached garages, and a pool clubhouse. There are 288 units made up of studios, 1, 2, and 3-bedroom styles. The previous owners of Renaissance Heights did respond to our market study for applying the income method. Renaissance Apartments LLC purchased the property in July of 18 for $24,770,000. We were unable to get an inspection of the property despite our request and have also not received a letter of authorization from the owner to have Frederickson and Byron represent them. I recommend denial of the 2018 abatement for Renaissance Apartments LLC. Now we have a 2018 abatement by Williston Land Investors LLC on the Microtel Inn and Suite. They are requesting a reduction in value from $4,024,600 to $2,604,000. The Microtel is a 77-unit hotel with pool built in 2010. An inspection was completed on January 7th and no changes were found to be needed. I recommend denial of the 2018 abatement for the Microtel. The next abatement is for the 2018 tax year for Northgate Apartments owned by ITS&B Williston Properties 1. They are requesting a value reduction from $17,209,200 to $15 million. The property is 13 apartment buildings, multiple detached garages, and a clubhouse office. There are 300 units. However, in 2018, only 200 units were assessed. There were 1, 2, and 3 bedroom styles. An inspection was completed on January 8th. Other than the difference in unit counts, no changes are noted. Northgate did not return our request for income and expenses for our market study in 2018, and we recommend denial for the 2018 abatement by IPS&B Williston Properties 1. Our next abatement is for the 2018 tax year on the Washington Valley Apartments by Washington Valley Owner, LLC. They are requesting a value reduction on their 2 parcels from $2,792,400 to $1,956,500 on the parcel ending in 040 and 050. The property is 2 apartment buildings and detached garages. There are 72 units total. An inspection was completed on January 7th. No changes were noted. However, reviewing the property record income report, we did notice an error on extending the effective tax rate into the cap rate. We would recommend changing the structure value on the parcel ending in 040 to $1,792,600 for a new total of $2,575,600 for 2018. Washington Valley did not return our request for income and expenses for a market study in 2018. We recommend amending the value on the parcel 0167500007040 to $2,575,600 and denying the parcel on lot 5 for the 2018 abatements for Washington Valley Owner, LLC. And our final set of abatements are for the 2018 value of the 42 townhomes owned by Strata Williston Owner, LLC. The properties consist of 22 single-family townhomes and 20 duplexes. They are requesting a reduction of value on each of the townhomes from $140,400 to $91,601, and a reduction of the duplexes from $104,800 to $68,375. As these have been platted as single-family and duplexes by North Dakota Century Code, they are considered residential property and are compared to other residential townhomes. They are not used, the income method is not used on these types of properties. For a residential property, we use the sales method of valuation. Analyzing the 2017 sales, the townhome sales were indicating $116 a square foot. The Strata townhomes were valued at $91 to $92 a square foot. Inspections of all the units were completed on January 7th and 8th. Changes were found that we will be making to our property records for next year. However, they would only increase the valuation. As the applicant has provided information in their packet from last night, and I recommend denial for the 42 2018 Strata Williston Owner LLC abatement. The city of Williston heard all these abatements on January 12th and moved to deny all of them, barring the Williston or the Washington Valley one that we would ask to change for our records.
Okay, what are the wishes of this board?
I do believe that representation is on the phone.
Is there any comment from anyone on the phone?
Well, good morning, everyone. David, Frederickson and Byron.
Go ahead, Vicky. Sorry, could you repeat that for the record? We can now.
Okay, you can hear me now?
Yes.
All right, perfect. I appreciate that. I am sharing my video on the WebEx, so I'm not sure whether folks can see me, but certainly I think with regard to the audio here, do let me know if you if you experience any sort of drop off at all, if you need any changes from me. Again, my name is David Tibbles. I'm with the Frederickson and Byron law firm in Fargo. Appearing today on behalf of all of these taxpayers, and specifically with respect to their apartment and hotel properties that were discussed there. Appreciate your attention. 2 basic points just to set the stage, you know, before I discuss the opinions of value that were claimed in the applications. You know, first off, state law is clear that whenever a taxpayer presents an abatement request like this, the county board has the obligation to consider the merits of those requests. And in doing so, you know, the obligation is to itself determine what the true and full value of a property is based on all of the available evidence today. You know, procedurally, this really isn't an appeal of an assessor's initial determination, you know, to see if it was reasonable or justified in using what information was available at the time of the initial assessment. And it's frankly not an appeal of what, you know, what the Williston City Council had recommended before either. Instead, the law is clear that really the purpose of all of this is to decide with fresh eyes, using what information is available today, you know, February 2nd, 2021, whether the property was assessed in excess of that true and full value as of, in this case, February 1st of 2018. To the extent that is, the abatement request must be granted. That much we know is clear from state law. The second kind of big picture point I'd like to make is that for commercial properties such as these, the hotels and apartments that we're discussing today, you know, the concept of true and full value is equivalent to market value, right? So what a willing buyer would be willing to pay a willing seller in an arm's length transaction on the open market. Now, in order to estimate that, the North Dakota Supreme Court has recognized the three generally accepted appraisal methods: cost, income, and sales approaches, all as valid approaches. And as I'll describe in a bit, the opinions of value that are in the applications, are represented in the applications before you today. They all leverage one of those approaches, the income approach, which we believe is the most relevant approach here for these commercial investment type properties. So I make those 2 points just to reiterate that you need to decide for yourselves today what is the true and full value of each of these properties. You know, obviously the assessor's office has its opinion. I'll walk you through, and you see in the applications before you, the taxpayers have theirs as well. Neither one of those positions, though, gets any special deference under the law, and frankly, you might end up deciding that it's actually somewhere in between. But you're making that calculated decision on your own is what this process is all about. So with those 2 points out of the way, next I'd like to provide an overview of the methodologies that were used to support the opinions of value, and I'll do so really just by focusing on the two general categories of properties that we're dealing with here today. First, the apartment properties, and then the hotel properties. With the apartment properties, the income approach calculations that were used, they all work towards gross operating income by starting with the actual market rent at each of these properties as of either December 17 or January 2018, whichever is most available, just in terms of, kind of the operational perspective of each of those properties. Do want to emphasize that this tends to reflect the high end of what the market would accept. This is, essentially the landlord's asking price, and not necessarily the rent that a tenant would be willing to pay without any sort of negotiation. Certainly to be sure, most of the units in each of these complexes were generating less than that market estimated amount on a monthly basis. So taking that actual market rent, to the extent that any rents from prior years needed to be used in these calculations, we increased estimated rent by 1% each year, just to kind of show that year-over-year increase as needed. And then the calculations also factor in, just across the board, a standard 5% to reflect other income sources, right? So things like, like parking contracts or other things like that. The calculations then discount that number by accounting for vacancy. Here we estimate 12%, and that reflects an actual market-wide vacancy for multifamily apartments in Williston as of the first quarter of 2018, and that's coming from a CoStar survey. And then to work towards the net number, the net operating income number, the calculations then also assume expenses, and that's based on, again, surveyed results for comparable apartments in the region at $455 per unit, right? So per unit within each property. When we compare that information with expenses historically at each of these properties, it does demonstrate that the estimate is reasonable. And then the calculations also factor in 3% to reflect management fees at each of these properties. Once we assume then $250 per unit just as a standard amount for reserves, again, per unit, the calculations then apply a cap rate of 9.2% against what is essentially the net operating income. That rate is supported both by realty rates and CoStar sale data, surveys and sale data that were compiled for the Midwestern region generally, and then specific sales from Williston. That's the process for the apartment complexes. The calculations that were used to derive the opinions for the hotel properties, they use a similar approach. They leverage different metrics though. So where I was talking about things like market rent and other concepts there, the hotel industry really measures the financial strength of a hotel using 3 key indicators. The first being the occupancy rate, which is essentially the percentage of available rooms sold throughout the year. The second is the average daily rate, which is, as you might guess, the average rate paid for each of those rooms sold. And the third metric is revenue per available room, and sometimes that gets referred to as RevPAR, and that's simply the product of those first 2 metrics. That represents the amount of gross revenue on a per room basis. And when you multiply that number by the total number of rooms available in a year, it generates the total gross room revenue for the year for that property. So that's essentially where we're starting. The calculations used here, they all estimate market revenue based on the actual financial performance of each hotel during the calendar year prior to the assessment date. So things like occupancy rate and the average rate, those are coming from actual numbers used at each of these hotel properties. Now, in contrast to what was used with the apartments, the expenses that we discount for with each of these properties, that based on actual expenses at each hotel, they then make a couple of additional discounts. The first is, to segregate any sort of income that might be attributable to the tangible property at the hotel. So, in other words, the analysis has to account for any expected return on investment in the personal property, and then the funds that would be necessary to replace that property once it reaches the end of its useful life. That's one big discount. The second one accounts for the intangibles involved with each of these hotel properties, and that really focuses on the hotel franchise, which flag it's flying under, goodwill, and then the workforce that's assembled at each property. Under generally accepted practices in the hotel industry, this value is captured with deductions for both management fees and franchise fees, and so those are reflected in these calculations. When we get down to the end of it, calculations then adopt a cap rate here of 8.8%, and that's based on published rates for hotels in the Midwest, and then cap rates just from regional sales as well. So those are the two methodologies that were used to support the opinions of value presented to you today. This is all, as was mentioned, detailed in information that was provided to the county yesterday. That's through a memorandum and then some supporting documentation, largely rent rolls, financial statements, occupancy reports, that sort of thing. I do apologize for the delay in providing that information, and I certainly recognize that you might not have hard copies of all that information in front of you as I explain all of this. But I would just conclude by noting that these calculations that are used to derive the opinions of value, they're run using a mix of actual property-specific operating metrics and then surveyed market information as well. And you use the two to try to attempt to eliminate any sort of bias and try to get to as objective a number as we can get. This is all information that we have available to us now, and I would just emphasize, we think that with the benefit of hindsight here, We think this information tells a more accurate and verified story of the values of each of these properties, and that's why we come to you each year with this information, really showing values that are verified using the information that we have available to us now. Again, as I've said before, we're certainly happy to get additional information or answers should you need it, and I would just ask that you consider this information. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to say that excuse me, our rents are a derivative of the actual received rents that were from the apartments in Williston for the 2017 tax, or for the 2017 year to be facing the 2018 assessments off of. We have a range of values from low to high that we arrays our findings into and find a market average for those types of apartments based off of what was actually received by the apartments in Williston. The actual rents that we came up with, or our range of rents that we came up with, are less than their CoStar rates that they submitted. So why they couldn't supply actual rents for these actual apartments. And our vacancy was also derived from the market, a range from 5 to 31,000, or 31%. Our average is 23, so that's much higher than what they are claiming. And our cap rate is a 10.5% loaded cap rate, so higher than there. So we have derived our information from the exact market, from the exact year that we are charged with setting the values based off of.
Dorothy, just a question. Does it seem odd that they don't all supply the information? Because it seems to me that it would only benefit them if they actually provide. We
request it every year. Why some people don't and why some people do, I don't know why.
Okay.
It would, in the end, they're all mixed together to find the market, the median for those types. So it does all get mixed up. But if you have a lower rate, that will pull our numbers down.
Certainly. Mm-hmm. So would it be a strategy if you were one of these companies to exclude your higher rate numbers?
I can't speak to that.
Okay. It just dawned on me that might be a strategy if you were trying to get the overall rate lower. I don't know if that happens or not.
And with regards to the hotels, we have asked multiple years for this information and no one will provide it to us without added cost to the taxpayers.
That was going to be my question. In your presentation, you, on almost every one of these, said that you asked for income-based information from each property and none of them provided it?
Some of them did.
Okay.
Some of them didn't, so about half.
So in order to assess these properties on an income-based approach, they would need to provide that information on the year of the assessment?
That's what we are asking for, but we do a mass appraisal model, so it's not their individual incomes and their individual expenses. We are taking and seeing what the market derives and using that as, you have 5 apartment buildings and their range is from $750 for a 2-bedroom to $1,000. Well, we're going to go with the middle number for that.
Darcy, you said that this was presented to the City Commission on January 12th.
Correct.
Was the information that you received last night that we received this morning presented at the City Commission meeting on the 12th?
No, we had no information.
Do you know why?
No.
Okay.
I was also going to ask, is there any way that we can get the information that was provided to us before close of business day before the commission meeting? Because I assume that if the information got to you at 6:30 p.m. last night, that means that you were unable to print it for our review until this morning, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And I did provide the memo and the information that we would have been able to use out of their submitted information. There was a lot of rent rolls from 2019 and all the way down to 2015 included, and we did not print those out.
Because they're not applicable to this.
Well, and it's a huge file we would be printing for days before this meeting.
Certainly.
You know, since we're talking about some of the documentation, might I respond to just a couple of points real briefly here?
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. You know, just a couple things. Again, I certainly do apologize for the delay in providing this information, and I understand that, you know, we provide a lot of information, and you know, that there's a lot of paper that would be involved in printing some of that off. So I certainly understand that, and again, do apologize for the delay there. Couple points about that information, though. You know, first off, again, that information is you know, actual operational information that we've compiled and pulled together. You know, I think there was a suggestion made earlier that, you know, that one might kind of fib the numbers there. I can tell you that is absolutely not happening here. You know, those are full reports, full rent reports and financial statements and that sort of thing. You know, no hiding involved whatsoever, and that's been our approach with you know, with the applications here today, and I hope you folks recognize too in past years as well. I mean, we certainly do try to provide as much information as we can to, you know, kind of be an open book so that you can see. I mean, I recognize that, you know, there's 2019.
Patently false. Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you there. That's patently false. You don't universally provide data on time and with purpose. It's only against, you know, when you're fighting us with you yourself being an attorney, that's patently false. You can't make that blanket statement that you provide all this information. When it shows up,
I guess I would respectfully disagree with that, and where I would say, you know, where I think maybe we're running into some sort of dissension there is, you know, I recognize that the county asks for information, you know, at the time sort of contemporaneous with valuations, right? And but here I'm talking about this abatement process, and, you know, the state law, I mean, makes very clear that, you know, you put in your application November 1st. We meet that deadline. You know, this year, again, I apologize for the delay. This was an awkward year. I'd like to sort of point to, you know, working remotely and things like that. And we've had some client contacts that have, you know, actually had some paternity leave that kind of got in the way here. Some unexpected paternity leave that got in the way. So I apologize for that delay, but really, our practice here has been to provide as much information in association with these abatement applications as we can, because again, you know, we certainly, I can tell you, I mean, from my perspective, you know, I certainly recognize that, you know, if I'm not providing any sort of information, then one might imply that, you know, we're hiding or selectively, you know, including numbers. Here, we're really trying to get you folks all of the information that you need. I said it last year, I said it this year as well. I mean, we are certainly happy to get you any additional information, answers, whatever that you need. And frankly, to the extent that, you know, if you feel like, you know, you don't have what you need today to make a decision, you know, we can certainly table this. I'd be happy to come back, you know, and again, sort of work with you to get the answers and information that you need. You know, so that's, I guess, really that's kind of sort of my overall sort of answer here is, you know, we're trying to get you the information that we can get. I can't speak to why other taxpayers, provide information at, at the county request, or what sort of information that we're providing. All I can say is that we've got additional information available to us today. State law is clear that you have to take, you have to recognize that and consider that. And I really do believe, I can tell you as someone who started my career dealing with, income tax and sales tax sort of, corporate tax processes, some of this information, it's not available the second it becomes available, right? Some of this information does need to get audited and processed and that sort of thing. And what we're providing today is kind of that final compiled information that we really do believe provides, again, with that, recognizing that there's some hindsight here, really do believe it provides a pretty accurate and verified indication of what the values of these properties were.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Absolutely.
Can you tell me, or tell this board, are the numbers that you provided us in these income and loss statements that you were provided last evening, are these the exact same numbers that you provide to the ownership and to the Internal Revenue Service for tax services?
I can't speak to what's provided to, to the IRS or other sorts of agencies. Frankly, I'm not involved in that sort of that representation there.
And the only true and fair, accurate information would be what they filed for taxes, right? That's, if we're to assume that that's accurate, right? Yeah, so these are reports that they just print. And it is made available. Anyway, I'm struggling with the description of sometimes information is made available, but not always immediately available, but sometimes available, randomly available.
So Darcy, is this the type of information that you would be asking them for income-based assessment for 2021?
Yes, it would be, but for the 2020 year is what we would be requesting this year. So.
Right, everything's a year behind.
Right, and we focus only on the prior year. We don't do a 3-year average. We cannot go back and reassess properties after having 5 years of information. Otherwise, we'd be in a constant state of flux. No. That is, our job is to assess it based off of the prior year.
And what are your deadlines for those numbers?
So we ask for, so our ultimate assessment deadline to the state is in June, but in order to assess the property to make it match what the last year's market did, in order to make our deadlines of notification, we have to have valuation set by the middle of March. And so we do ask for this information to be in our office February 1st. We send out notices end of February, or end of December, and we usually send out a reminder because we don't get enough information from the first one. We understand that people are putting together their end of year numbers. We do usually go into the middle of February before we have to stop to analyze that data, or we will not meet our statutory timeline.
In theory, this documentation should have been in your office by November 1st.
It would have been nice to have the supporting documentation for their requested numbers at the time of filing for this abatement. It would have been nice to have them February 1st of 2018, but
we're meeting February 2nd.
Quick question with regards to, and this is both maybe to you, Darcy, and the attorney present on the phone. Of all the people that are in this list, there appears to be 11 requesting these abatements. How many other apartment complexes owners are out there? And then And then, I have a second question too, then I'll let you answer that first.
There are 207 apartment complexes within the city of Williston.
Okay, and this is 11, represented all by this single law firm. Okay. Okay.
Correct.
I apologize, to the attorney on the phone, I forgot your name.
David.
David?
David Tibble.
Okay. Is there, my question's not written, I'm not gonna answer. So, if you want to respond to that at all, I mean, this is a subset of a large 207 different units, some of which all may be owned, or some may be multiple owners, I mean, an owner could own multiple properties. Okay.
Right, and I guess, you know, what I would say in response to that, and I know this is something that's come up, in Williams County and elsewhere across the state. You know, why is it that other folks don't contest their property taxes? And I can't tell you why, right? You know, but state law makes clear that folks have a right to do so. In fact, really anyone with an interest in property in North Dakota has a right to contest taxes and ask for a reassessment of that value. You know, that's frankly an obligation that you owe to, you know, any taxpayer here in Williams County. You know, if folks, you know, I can't tell you why folks who own other properties, you know, choose to contest or choose not to contest. But what I can tell you is that, you know, state law gives us a very clear procedure for how to do so. I recognize that, you know, it would be nice if this information were provided on February 1st of 2018. It would be nice if it were provided by November 1st, that sort of thing. But the process is clear. And again, when it comes down to it, the question before you is today on February 2nd, 2021, using all the information that you have available today, what is the value of each of these properties? Putting aside what other folks have contested or argued or provided, what's the value of these properties?
3 months late. What would the court do? Just as a question, if this information was provided to a court of law and the deadline was November 1st, what would the court say to documents that are 3 months late?
You know, I'm not going to answer that because the deadline for providing that information was not November 1st. The deadline for providing the application was November 1st, and that was provided in advance of that.
Wouldn't it be advantageous? I mean, if you're, and this is the part that I'm struggling with, the information, it would have been advantageous for us to have it to review. It supports your argument.
Darcy, in looking at this information, it looks like to me most of it is based on income and expenses.
Mm-hmm.
We do not do valuations on income and expenses, do we?
Yes, we do.
To a certain extent.
Only on apartment buildings.
Right. So, I guess as far as the hotels, which, we don't do that.
Okay, anyway, that was my only point, that it would have seemed to have been advantageous to have this information before, but it's being carefully considered now, scrutinized to the fullest.
I guess the other point was that the city of Williston denied all of these.
Correct.
And the information was not provided to them either.
Correct.
When they needed.
Correct.
Okay.
Karen, you're on the edge of your seat.
Yeah, even though it was not provided to the city of Williston, because it's being provided to you now, you still need to consider this what they presented to you.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is appreciated.
Yeah, so even if it was presented, even if it was given to the county 6:30 last night, I mean, you still need to consider it because they did present it to you, and it will, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think we've got it all in front of us right now, so, again, scrutinizing it.
Shouldn't be discharged. So is there a time frame of, that we should consider to, I mean, should we all be in an office and going through all this stuff for the next 2 or 3 days?
Your decision.
I know, I'm frustrated, and I would assume that the legal team could hear my frustration, and I know he's apologized, but, I mean, if you want to consider what is millions of dollars of tax abatement, my goodness, give us some information beforehand that's not the morning of.
Just for the record, if you wanted to, you could table this to the next board meeting and then have time to look at it. Just, you don't have to make a decision today.
Legal opportunity for them to kick the can down the road.
Well,
I'm still curious though, Darcy, how did the city determine their decision if this information was not provided to them in their?
They had my information and my evidence to support my evaluation, so,
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah, okay. So they never provided them with any of this information at all?
okay.
I mean, all they could do is make a decision based on what you
Right,
gave them
what
information.
was presented to them that night.
Certainly. Well, I still find it, and I can speculate all I want, because, I can speak as a taxpayer of this county. Our taxes are low. And I would speculate that that's why the other property owners, don't have this big issue with this, and this is, I'm just speculating as a taxpayer myself. But, this is a, consistent year after year effort by this group. So this was my other question. Who are these owners? I mean, they're companies. Do we have any, are they individuals? Are they investments?
They're
Groups?
all LLCs, LPs.
Do any of them reside in North Dakota? I mean, not that that's relevant, but it would be interesting.
I don't know. I personally don't look at ownership
Right.
when it comes to assessment.
No, of course not. It's not part of how it's done, right?
Right, sorry.
Anyway, okay.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I've always felt that we as commissioners, along with HR, have always hired the most professional department heads that we can, and I have all the confidence in the world in Darcy and her staff and what they do by abiding by the rules, regulations, and laws of North Dakota. So I'm going to hereby make a motion that we go with Darcy's recommendation and deny the abatements that have been presented to us today.
Commissioner, may I add, can we amend that
One exception, yes.
with the amendment to the Washington Valley one?
Yes,
correct?
thank you, Darcy.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'd second.
Okay, is there any additional discussion? Okay, hearing none, pass roll call vote.
David,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Cory,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
I have,
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have two other pieces of business that I need to take care of today.
Okay.
The first is setting up an abatement committee. We had a new industry exemption presented to us late last week. We haven't had one of these in forever. I think the last one was, and in the instructions for doing that, we bring it before
the abatement committee, since we haven't had that for a while, which consists of 2 commissioners, and a representative from the township that it occurs in, and the school district. David was on when we were there.
It's been a long time.
Yeah. And I've also included the city of Williston, 2 of the city of Williston commissioners. However, this application is out in Beaufort Township, so we would take the township chair, I would assume. But I would like to ask for 2 commissioners to sit on the board or on the committee.
And you need a motion supporting that.
Please.
Okay. Knowing this, and I do know who is doing the application, and I would like to ask the board for my ability to abstain from any votes related to this because of my potential for economic gain related to it. And so if I would need if I recall correctly, I need a motion from the board to allow me to abstain. And just to confirm, this is AIC and or Brandon Sheep. Maybe it wasn't Brandon I came for.
It was Ellen.
That's fine.
I'm sorry.
I'm confident.
I was more.
If it helps, Mr. Chairman, I will, past experiences, I will volunteer for one of those positions if it helps.
Perfect.
I would also volunteer.
Okay. And then if I can get somebody to, if I could get a motion to abstain, that would be super helpful.
I'll make that motion to allow Chairman Kemp to abstain from this vote.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any additional discussion? Hearing none, that's roll call vote.
Barry,
Yes.
Cory,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes. Oh, I don't vote? Okay.
Bo,
Yeah.
David,
Yeah.
Okay, motion passed. Thank you for that.
Also, we, at your, the last year's Board of Equalization, you guys asked for us to use the income method to value the golf courses in our county. We sent out notification, we asked for that information. We even went above and beyond, went to the municipal courses to find out, get a better idea, have more data. We have received one back from the city of Ray golf course. Do you guys wish me to continue to reach out again, or to just continue valuing them using the cost method that we've been using?
Give me opportunity.
What's the absolute deadline you have to have, Darcy, for your work?
Really, probably February 15th, to be honest.
So you don't have a lot of time,
No, I don't.
so you don't have a lot of choice then.
I'm willing to,
How many courses were there? I mean, like a handful?
yeah, there's like 6, I think, 6
Okay.
courses if we include all the municipal ones.
Or the public one.
And not even Wilson Municipal Golf Course gave you this information?
No,
Oh.
I want not Red Mike there.
I mean, the 2 that
Red
were,
Mike team didn't?
the 2
They're
that
the
we
ones
were
that came
concerned
to
about is Red Mike and Eagle Ridge, and
That's frustrating. That's what I know.
Well, you can only do what you gotta do.
And I wouldn't.
I mean, I'm willing
complete
to
that
wait.
data.
because I know it's February 1st, and you say only the 2nd. It does take time to compile this, but I was hoping to at least hear something.
Well,
Maybe you'll get it on the night of the 5th.
just that, does Century Code give you, permission to have deadlines, or does Century Code have deadlines for you?
Century Code has deadlines for when we have our meetings and when we have to have notices out by. So in order to have accurate notices, we have to have basically our values set as accurately as we can before we send those notices out. So that date this year would be March 15th is when I have to have those notices out.
And you're saying by February 15th, you need their data. The only reason I'm asking is so that if you're allowed by state law to put on dates that you have me this information by this date, so that we can, sorry, I'm talking to the mic now, so we can have this stuff done, that I think that would help you tremendously, that here's the drop dead date. If it's received after that, is that allowable, Karen, or not?
I mean, if we don't have the information by the time we do it, they can always protest it. Equalization, they can protest it, but by abatement.
I do know the owners of, some of the owners of Red Light, so I can put a note out to remind them that, you know, this is going to be helpful.
For taxes.
Right. So.
I would appreciate that.
It'll all be lined up in June.
Yeah.
Okay, that was just.
Mr. Chairman or Darcy, did we need a motion on that committee?
That was my question. I think we need to clean that up, because the one down motion was just to allow me to abstain, so I think we still need to do the motion.
Make a motion to, appoint David and Corey to the abatement committee. Is that correct?
Correct.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, Beth, roll call vote.
Corey,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
And for the record, I abstained. Motion passes.
Steve,
Yeah.
All right, I will have set that meeting up here shortly. We're on timelines for that as well. So, and it will be brought before the commission as a whole at the next meeting.
and then you'll talk to the
Yeah, so it'll be the Beaufort their township share.
and then.
And then, it would be 6, I believe.
Okay.
All right, that is all I have.
Excellent, thank you.
That's all I have.
That's all. Holy Karen.
All right, so Beth, you're up. Karen, I guess, along with that.
What we did is we advertised for the Williams County tax foreclosure properties for sale that we had. I each sent each one of you one of these packets, which had a lot of information in it. And then we took the City of Ray property off because we offered it to the City of Ray. So the first thing, and you do have motions in your packet.
I'll take
Oh, okay.
All right, so, as you know, we told the city of Ray some, parcel offers for sale from the county last, went Thursday because of some conversations I've had with some commissioners and, city of Ray. So anyways, the city of Ray came and paid the back taxes. So I am gonna say a motion that I need you to make, and then you just need to vote on it really. So I want you to make a motion to ratify the decision on January 27th to pull the tax foreclosure property located in the South Park edition of the city of Ray from the county's list of parcels for sale.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, Beth, roll call vote.
Bo,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes. Motion passes.
Okay, the next motion I need you to make is to sell this Ray tax foreclosure property to the city of Ray for unpaid taxes
pursuant to ordinance number 2020-01-07, and authorize the chairman to sign the affidavit of mark with the title and the quitclaim deed.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, Beth, roll call vote.
David,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
Motion
Okay,
passes.
well, thank you. Okay, so going to the Tioga property, the owner did come in and repurchase the property yesterday, so that's been taken off so anything we got will be sent back. And Beth will be dealing with that after I get done with my part here. You also received a listing of the bids on the last three parcels that we have, and so I'm gonna ask to make several motions regarding these three bids. So on the first bid regarding the Flatten subdivision, I need a motion to accept the bid of $25,000 from John and Teresa Scully for the tax foreclosure property located at Lot 5, Block 2, Flatten subdivision pursuant to ordinance number 2020-01-07, and authorize the chairman to sign the affidavit of marketable title and the quitclaim deed.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, Beth, roll call vote.
Barry,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, the next motion, I need you to make a motion to accept the bid of $21,500 from Rick Crabtree for the tax foreclosure property located on Lot 4, Block 2 of Ironwood Estates pursuant to ordinance number 2020-01-07, and authorize the chairman to sign the affidavit of marketable title and the quitclaim deed.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, Beth, roll call vote.
Corey,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. And the last motion, I need a motion to accept the bid of $16,500 from the Vasilius Konstantinis, I got that right, for the tax foreclosure property located at Lot 7, Block 2 of Ironwood Estates pursuant to ordinance number 2020-01-07, and authorize the chairman to sign the affidavit of marketable title and the quitclaim deed.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, Beth, roll call vote.
Steve,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. I will be handling the paperwork. I guess I would like to know, I know you're gonna be leaving here shortly, so will you have time to sign? At least the one only for the Ray property, really. The other ones I can take care of later, so, okay, good. And then I just want to know if you still want to have a discussion about the city of Ray and the taxes and. No.
So,
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
That's good, thanks. Beth, do you have additional?
I have one for the repurchase of the property in
Seven?
City of Wilson.
no, one in the city of Wilson, the Meadows. Lot 1, a rearrangement of block 1, 3, 7, 8, and sublot 4 and block 3. MBCI LLC, the Meadows, 2-0 trust in the amount of $2,606.82. And this is for authorizing the chairman to sign the repurchase and the deed.
Is there a motion to support?
Huh?
Why is this one different than the other one? I'm confused.
To do the repurchases. These are repurchases.
Gotcha.
We
They're
can do
redeeming the
these out.
taxes, is that the deal?
And you can't do them all at once, you can do them individually, right?
No, you can do, yes, you can do both of them.
Okay.
And the other one is the one in the city of Tioga. Well, actually, it's in Pleasant Valley Township. which must have been annexed into the city of Tioga. It's the northwest, southwest, except the deed part, section 26, township 157, range 95. Note this parcel was annexed in the city of Tioga in 2018 and still suddenly. So I need a motion for the chairman to sign the repurchase and the deed.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, Beth, roll call vote.
Corey?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Bo?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Yeah. I did want to give you just a quick update, that there are still City of Williston that we kind of are trying to work with the City of Williston to give to them because there's special assessments on it. So they have until like the end of this week to get back to us. So I just want to let you know, there's still 3 out there that we're going to deal with.
And also just let you know, those 3 parcels, they have a lift station on them. And Public Works did not know that City Hall let them go.
Okay. And we made a lot of comments about that, but we'll leave that be.
Just leave it.
Yeah. All right, anything else from you guys?
Nope.
Okay, Dennis, you're up.
I just have one thing quickly. Our generic bid, or we call it our generic bid, when we bid the culverts and the gravel hauling and the gravel crushing and the tires, all the miscellaneous things that possibly come up throughout the year, we'd like authorization to advertise and bid.
I would make that motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, Beth, roll call vote.
Steve?
Yes.
Bo?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Corey?
Yes.
Motion passes.
We've met with most of the townships. I believe we have 3 left that have, 2 left that we have to do yet. There's a few that, haven't gotten back to us, so there might be a couple more. Anyway, it went really well, extremely well. And they all appreciated having the full hour if they needed. Some lasted 15 minutes and some were a bit over an hour. It's been really well. Pluses and minuses both directions, you know. Input, some is better than others, meaning they need some corrections, or we need to correct something. So it's went really well. And there wasn't hardly any of them that didn't say, we appreciate giving us the time we need to get through things.
And we want to bring up that virtual meeting and the in-person meeting for the, north bypass, I mean.
Okay, yeah. So far, well, yes, March 2nd, 5 to 7 in the evening is a virtual meeting for the east bypass. And I'll pass it on when I get the link and all that stuff. And then on March 4th, it's Thursday, from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock is in person. The location to be determined yet. And then that same day on March 4th, from 5 o'clock in the evening till 7 o'clock. And that's on that east bypass with the DOT and Alteg as their consultant.
Okay. Did you say Alton?
Well, there's nothing in it, it's just, sorry.
Do we know what take? Yep.
Anything else?
Golden Valley, the road work is done now, it's open again?
We're close.
Oh.
You probably could get through with, you know,
Really, that's not our beach.
it's close.
You get out of normal for.
That's been a long process for Williams County. They resolved in 2013, we've chipped away in the winter time when it was froze, so, yes. We should have them all open shortly. You can get through right now, but
By spring.
it's rough.
Spring work.
That also.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Dennis. Okay, finance. Morning, Julie.
Good morning.
Or,
Good morning. Okay, so I have 3 requests pertaining to insurance. In the interest of time, I'll just go through all 3 of them and then request a motion at the end. At our last meeting, there was a question of whether or not we should consider raising our general liability limit from our current level, which is $5 million, to anywhere between $6 to $10 million. We did look at other counties for benchmarks and look for specific cases or reasons where a higher limit would be needed, and couldn't find a good reason for it. So the finance committee recommended that we keep our current $5 million general liability limit and keep it as is. During our application process, after talking with IT, we asked Manger to give us a quote for a higher cybersecurity liability coverage. Currently with our general liability policy, we have a $250,000 limit. We asked to quote us at $500,000. I got that quote just in the last couple of days, and that quote is $11,996, which will be added to the premium quote that was presented last meeting. And then finally, on our general liability application, we decided to add the Williams County Park, Williams County Weed Control, and Williston Vector Control as additional insured in an effort to keep those entities all consistent on the policy. Previously, we had only had the Williams County Park Board on the policy, an additional insured in our policy. The finance committee recommended the addition of all 3 as additional insured. So at this point, I'm just asking for a motion to approve keeping the general liability limit at our current $5 million limit, increasing our cybersecurity coverage from $250,000 to $500,000, and increased premium of $11,996, and adding the Williams County Park Board, the Williams County Weed Control Weed Board, and the Williston Vector Control as additional insured on our Williams County.
Okay.
I would make that motion.
You have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, that's roll call vote.
David,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Bo.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Is
Thank you.
cybersecurity under the non-marine or general liability?
That's the general liability.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, moving on to IT. Ryan, Lindsay, if you want to be part of it, you're yielding.
She yields her time.
Yeah.
In the essence of time, Commissioners, what we're requesting today is just a motion to allow me to sign the contract once all the legal stuff is done with it, so we can keep the project rolling along.
Make a motion, authorize chairman to sign.
Oh, no. Ryan,
Ryan,
My apologies. Signed, yes.
Okay, we have a motion for Ryan to sign, is there a second?
Second.
All right, Corey's fast.
Sure.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, that's roll call.
Trying to get you on a train.
Barry,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes,
Bo,
Yes.
David.
Yes.
motion passes. The train is late, so we're doing all right.
All right, thank you very much.
I was on the contract to sign for this audio. Yep.
Oh.
And it was under IT.
Oh.
Are you not doing that?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's exactly what we just said.
Yeah.
We did.
Perfect.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, Ryan. for the sign?
I just put in your package, we received a letter from Holly, and the Department of Human Services received a copy of the North Star Human Service Zone Plan, according to the North Dakota Century Code. And the plan will start as of January 1st, 2021, to ensure full compliance with North Dakota Century Code. And I was just supposed to give you guys a copy of this to show that, the state approved it.
Okay. Duly noted. Moving on to the parks. We need to authorize the spending of the money from the, tourism tax, right? If I recall correctly?
Hospitality,
Yes.
Okay.
From the Visitor Promotion Fund.
Yes,
Okay.
very steps.
I would make that motion to have, that our chairman to sign, or is that, anyway, we'll spend the money for the signs out of the visitors promotion fund.
Perfect, and it's up to an amount of $30,000.
Correct.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, Beth, roll call vote.
Cory,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Will,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Gary.
Yes.
Motion passes. Karen, did you have anything else for us? Okay. And then it is to Helen.
Morning, Helen.
Geez, 1 page or so?
Okay, so we are requesting permission to fill two positions. It's a corrections officer and a patrol deputy position. But I just want to disclose to you that we had some internal shuffling go on. And so we do have these two open. We do need to fill them. But for your knowledge, we have someone leaving corrections to fill the youth assessment center position. But we have someone transferring out of the patrol division into corrections. So we've done all of that work, and here's what is open at the end of that. So corrections officer and a patrol deputy.
Yeah, this is the board.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the two requests for the sheriff's office.
Okay, we have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, Beth, roll call vote.
Steve,
Yes.
Will,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Cory.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, if you flip the paper over, as we talked about last time, Roger Gummerson has resigned his seat on the annexation, dissolution, and reorganization board. There are two applicants, Earl Bossy and Christina Nas, I think is how you say it. I forwarded you all an email yesterday because the board, in question, the annexation board, we call it for short, did not forward to us any kind of a recommendation for who should be appointed. And so I think that Commissioner Kemp did have a short conversation with Ryan Geltel, who's the chairman of that board. But it's up to you guys to decide based on that application material that you received, or you know, any additional work you wanted to push back down to that board. But they seemed, they were indifferent, it appears.
No, there was just a flat no recommendation. No, they didn't have any, didn't offer really anything to suggest either candidate was to their liking or not. So it's whatever this board decides. So. You know, like you said, I don't think there's going to be a lot of work that they have to do going forward, but whatever.
Right, we would anticipate that there's very little, hopefully, going through this board as reorganization happens for D1 and D8. It certainly should slow down.
In motion?
Yep.
I'll, make a motion that we appoint Christina Nazi. Is that correct, Ellen?
I think it's Nas, but I don't know for sure.
Okay. To the, school district annexation, dissolution, and reorganization board.
Excellent. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Sorry.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Bo,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes. Motion passes.
All right, one last thing, and in budget hearings, we talked about the position that is held by Attorney Prout. It has been flexible in whether it was part-time or full-time, but we've been tracking it over the years to make sure that we're properly, it's not about compensation, because she's paid as an hourly employee right now, but it's really about benefits eligibility. So we have been tracking year by year. In reviewing now in January what has happened over the last 12 months, she is regularly working hours that would constitute a full-time position. And so as we talked in the budget hearing, we did budget for this kind of a change, but we wanted to see how the year looked. I talked to Karen yesterday, making sure she has sometimes been reluctant as well to make a full week into full-time work. But I think we're in agreement that's what she's doing. And for the sake of consistency, I'd like us to classify the position correctly. So this board needs to approve this status change, is what it's called, from part-time to full-time. I'll draft up a document which will be in her personnel file, and we'll just make sure that we have a full explanation of how this happens. You know that I've come to you before with these kinds of requests. Something that we do when it looks like the hours are consistent, but you won't need to give me permission.
Just make something out of it, but we're just creating a lot more work for her.
I mean, certainly if we've had her available over the last 3 or 4 years doing the civil work, you know, the more we know what she can do, the more people ask for help.
Well, we definitely appreciate being righted when we're wrong.
I think that we would say, I mean, we, staff would appreciate the ability to say, I need to do this and I want to do it correctly within the law. Can you help me to understand what the parameters are so that I can accomplish what I need to do, but do it correctly?
That's a much better way to say it. Thank you, Karen. That's a testament to the hard work that you do for the county, so. What are the wishes of the board?
So what
Do we ride for this motion?
I just need approval for the status change.
I would make a motion for the status change for Karen.
Okay, we have a motion to support her moving full-time. Is there a second?
I'll second. I'll second. Go ahead.
That's the best. Motion, well, any additional discussion? I should
Let's
say.
not ask Karen if we did that right.
Hearing no additional discussion. That's roll call vote.
David,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Bo.
Yeah.
Motion passed.
I'm sorry, I should have been thinking. My thought is we make it effective February 1st.
Okay, can we amend the motion post-voting, or do we need to make another motion? Okay, sorry, we need another motion.
I would make that motion to make that active February 1st.
Yeah, effective February 1st.
Okay.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, that's roll call vote.
Barry,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
David.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else from anybody else? Seeing no rush to the podium, we will adjourn. Oh, yeah, we ruined it.